Hey y'all, it's Rob with the 5th of November Project. Just bringing you up to speed on this. I talked a little bit about this yesterday with the cuts to the National Weather Service, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Um, Basically, Trump cut about 1,000 jobs. This is a rough estimate. So one of the big things this affects, um, and this is it's insane to even think that this is something that we're going to lose. So this is from an AP article put out on March 22nd, written by Seth Bornstein. Essentially, the National Weather Service is eliminating or reducing vital weather balloon launches in 8 northern locations, which meteorologists and former agency leaders said will degrade the accuracy of forecasts as the severe weather season kicks in. So we know we're entering hurricane season. We've seen the effects of the hurricanes over the last couple of years. And especially like last year with Western North Carolina, um, parts of Georgia, South Carolina. I There was 2 hurricanes that went through. I don't remember the names of them now, but um, it's just insane to think that this is stuff that they are cutting, um, and especially at a vital time of the year. According to the thing about weather balloon, this is coming from a former NOAA chief. Uh, the thing about weather balloons is they give you information that you can't get any other way. He said cutting the agency during his, he said uh, he had to cut spending it in the agency during his tenure. He was in during the Clinton administration, but he said they refused to cut observations such as weather balloons. It's an absolutely essential piece of the forecasting system. So Trump has really cut that bad. Um, Even the guy who was in charge of the NOAA at the end of Trump's first term has said this is bad. We should not degrade our weather system by skipping balloon launches. Not only is this embarrassing for NOAA, the cessation of weather balloon launches will worsen America's weather forecasts. So, as we enter extreme weather, and we've seen like the conditions that, um, like I mentioned, Western North Carolina and the 2 storms that went through last year, the hurricanes that killed hundreds and caused billions of dollars in damage. So it's insane to think about, this being a issue that we have to deal with now. And one other thing I wanted to touch on, I talked about a little bit yesterday. Um, this also deals with the issues with climate and Trump's anti-science approach. So, um, this was I talked about a little bit. I've seen it in different places. Um, so apparently there's some back and forth now. This guy was coming in from, or he was from the National Center for Scientific Research in France. He was coming over. Uh, he was sent back to France, but his work computer and cell phone were kept in the United States. Apparently, there's some back and forth about he was carrying sensitive data. Initially, it looked like he was blocked from coming over because of some negative opinions he held towards Trump. I'm going to believe the latter is probably um, some negative opinions he held towards Trump that caused him to get deported back. Um, just either way, though, I mean, we've seen, uh, and again, this comes with, the be silent aspect of Trump's administration. Um, Folks getting picked up that are legal citizens. And this goes back to ICE and a lot of the deportations that are going on. Um, I'm going to touch more on that in another video. I'm not going to get into that too much in this one. I wanted to just talk about some of the science issues that we're seeing with Trump. These um, issues are just, I mean, there's so much stuff. I could literally do videos 24 hours a day about this, um, and not run out of topics to cover. It's how just out of control they are. So there's another article here. This is from the New Yorker about the new head of the uh, EPA, Lee Zeldin, and I bring this up because of the issues with climate change and things like that. We know, um, if you believe the science, you know that, and it's not even about believing the science; it's accepting reality at this point. But to each his own. If you think that science is a lying to you, then you and I just don't need to be in the same country. So I hope you move. I'm not gonna be nice about that. At this point, there's just so much going wrong. We're almost past that. I believe it's the carbon emissions where the point of no return was like it was 2.5% or something like that. I've got to verse myself a little bit better in the science. There's so much information to take in, but the key point is folks like Lee Zeldin and Trump and these cronies, they don't believe in climate change. I don't know how you can not believe in science. Science is reality. The scientific process is trial and error, and science corrects itself when it's wrong. And we've seen over the last few years a lot of issues with Trump and science across the board. RFK, of course, is in as the chief of Health and Human Services, but say what you want, but the fact that we're, almost to this point that the carbon in the atmosphere is too much where we won't be able to go back, and we're going to see a continued increase in the melting of glaciers, the shrinking ice in the Antarctic and the Arctic. These are all proven facts. You can do the research, find the information. It's not hard um, to go out there and find this stuff. But when you've got guys like Trump and this Zeldin, denying it just sets us back. And we've got, them cutting folks at the national, and this ties into the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration with the National Weather Service, we were just talking about. A lot of the work that they were doing was also related to climate change, and of course, those jobs were cut. A lot of the 1,000 people that were cut, of course, were climate scientists. Huge surprise that climate deniers in charge of the country would fire climate scientists saying the opposite of what they want them to say. Um, so yeah, this thing all ties together. Um, the U.S. has been doing some research since the '60s into climate change, and um, the issue with the CO2 emissions reaching that breaking point, was the whole aspect of why we signed into Paris. Well, why even the Paris Climate Accords were put together, and why everything was brought full circle with the Paris Climate Accords to try to stop this from happening. And unfortunately, we reached that breaking point. And this article really goes into more detail about RFK, and we've, the issues. And I'll touch base on this in another video later in the week. I'm going to be trying to post every day because there's just so much going on. And I want to get information out there. So hopefully, if you guys share these videos and whatever, I just want to get this information out any way I can too. There's a lot of great other independent media sources out there. Don't be afraid to speak the truth. That's really important at this time because we've got kids. At least one child looks like died of fucking measles in Texas, dude. Measles. We've had these vaccines for probably, I would say, at least 15 or 20 years. I think, I remember when my oldest kids were younger, them getting the MMR shot. So just insanity that, we've got people dying of measles in 2025. We've got climate change deniers, and I mean, this whole thing is a train wreck. I'm going to focus tomorrow on some of the policies in Gaza and some of the my next video will be about foreign policy. Like I said, I could just sit here and literally do videos all day about how I've controlled this administration. I don't even want to call it administration. One of my favorite YouTube personalities, he's a great source of independent media. His name's Kyle Klinsky with Secular Talk. He said we should just call it the Trump regime. It's not even a legitimate administration. in some ways, I'm starting to really agree with him. I think that is more of a regime than anything else. But, anyways, we've got to fight back. Get out there. Call your senators, call your congressmen. Try to get some of this damage. I don't want to be sitting here in Virginia and have kids in wife's in my kid's school district where my wife works dying of measles. I mean, it's just out of control. Really is. It's sad. But love you guys. Talk to you later.